That shiny new vehicle in your driveway isn't a symbol of success. It's a meticulously engineered financial death trap. You haven't bought a car. You've financed your own destruction inside a rolling digital prison. Here is the terrifying trillion-dollar grift the auto cartel prays you never discover. There is a rotting corpse sitting right in your driveway, masquerading as a symbol of success, and you are paying thousands of dollars a month just to keep it there. Imagine this exact scenario. You are sitting in the sanitized, blindingly bright office of a dealership. You just signed a financially blood-soaked contract, taking on a massive mountain of debt to hold the keys to a brand-new GMC Denali, a Chevy Tahoe, or perhaps even a flagship Chevrolet Corvette. The intoxicating new car smell fills your lungs. The immaculate paint reflects the streetlights like liquid glass. You feel untouchable. You feel like you have finally made it. But exactly 500, maybe 1,000 miles later, a hollow, sickening pop echoes from the engine bay. Thick, blinding white smoke violently erupts from beneath the hood. That roaring, prideful V8 engine is instantly reduced to a dead block of metal, silently mocking the very financial intelligence of the person who bought it. This is not some rare, unlucky glitch. This is a fast-forwarded preview of the systemic, terrifying collapse of the entire modern automotive industry. Before we pull back the curtain on this trillion-dollar deception, Credit Card Payoff Plan US welcomes you to the ugly, unspoken truth of the modern automotive empire. We are about to expose the darkest secrets of an industry designed to bleed you dry. So please, hit that subscribe button right now to support our channel and give us the absolute motivation to keep bringing you the unfiltered financial truth you desperately need to survive what is coming. The naked truth that absolutely no automotive executive wants you to hear is that this industry is rotting from its very roots. Blindly signing a debt slip to bring home a new vehicle in this current era is no longer a lifestyle upgrade. It is a meticulously engineered trapdoor leading straight to financial catastrophe. We are currently witnessing a lethal, unprecedented collision between the bottomless greed of original equipment manufacturers and a simmering credit crisis just begging for a spark. You must look directly into the mechanical lungs of these modern machines to understand the sheer scale of the betrayal. What used to be a testament to human engineering is now a landfill of aggressively cheap materials and a pathetic degradation in manufacturing philosophy. In a desperate, sweat-soaked effort to squeeze out every possible penny of profit and navigate emissions regulations in the most cowardly ways imaginable, automakers have completely replaced enduring mechanical strength with the fragile lie of synthetic plastics. Take the cooling system on modern Ford V6 engines as a perfect, horrifying example. This is a machine designed to push out hundreds of horsepower, with engine bay temperatures reaching blistering extremes. Yet the vital organ responsible for pumping the lifeblood of coolant through this inferno is a water pump made entirely of plastic. Yes, cheap, injection-molded plastic. Buried deep inside the expensive engine block, it is subjected to brutal, relentless thermal cycling day after day. The constant expansion and contraction from extreme heat to freezing cold bakes this polymer structure until it becomes as brittle as a stale cracker. The moment it inevitably cracks, pressurized coolant violently mixes with engine oil, instantly turning your $50,000 machine into a blender full of toxic sludge, handing you an astronomical repair bill that can easily shatter your life savings. This aggressive cheapness does not stop in the engine bay. It infects every single inch of the cabin. You drop $60,000 on a Jeep Wrangler, or over $100,000 on a fully loaded Ford F-Series, expecting an impenetrable fortress of steel. What you actually drive off the lot is a rattling cage of flimsy plastic panels, assembly gaps so carelessly wide you could slide a silver dollar through them, and phantom creaks that echo through the cabin every time the chassis twists over a minor pothole. It is a bitter, heartbreaking contrast to the honest machines built 2 decades ago. Vehicles born in the late 90s or early 2000s were designed with a purist mechanical mindset. Steel was steel, and aluminum was aluminum. A car from that golden era easily crushed the 150,000-mile mark before asking for a major overhaul. Today, a brand new car surviving past 60,000 miles without a catastrophic drivetrain failure is practically celebrated as a divine miracle. And when that miracle predictably fails to arrive, you are forced into the most agonizing chapter of this tragedy: the dealership graveyard. You might comfort yourself by whispering that you have a factory warranty, believing the manufacturer will take care of you. That is the sweetest, most venomous lie of all. Your pristine warranty instantly becomes a worthless piece of scrap paper the second you collide with a fractured global supply chain and a severe, deliberate shortage of parts. Your prized vehicle will be unceremoniously dumped in some forgotten, weed-infested corner behind the dealership, left to rot under the elements for weeks or even agonizing months. When you finally call to beg for an update, you are met with a cold, scripted response. "We are waiting on parts." And while your depreciating asset sits rusting in the rain, you, the supposed owner, are still bleeding out every single month, forced to pay the massive auto loan and predatory interest to the bank. You are literally paying for the privilege of keeping a dead piece of machinery parked on the property of the very people who scammed you. It is the absolute most perfect, refined definition of modern-day extortion. That physical graveyard of rotting mechanical parts parked behind the service bay is only half the tragedy, because the modern vehicle has been quietly transformed from a machine you own into a digital prison you merely rent. If you manage to survive the inevitable collapse of the cheap plastic components under the hood, you are immediately thrown into the dystopian nightmare of automotive software. The auto industry looked at the addiction and forced obsolescence engineered by Silicon Valley and decided they wanted a piece of that endless revenue stream. Over the past decade, automakers have systematically stripped away the tactile, reliable analog controls that outlasted generations of drivers, replacing them with massive, blindingly bright touchscreens that control every single vital function of the car. It was sold to you as luxury and innovation, but the sinister truth is that it is a mechanism for absolute control. When the screen inevitably glitches, freezes, or dies in a 5-year-old vehicle, you do not just lose your radio, you lose your climate control, your defroster, your vehicle diagnostics, and sometimes even the ability to put the vehicle into gear. You are left sitting in a $60,000 brick held hostage by a piece of consumer electronics that possesses the lifespan of a cheap tablet. This digital infection was never about making your driving experience better. It was about permanently tethering your wallet to the manufacturer. We have entered the era of subscription extortion, a reality so insulting it borders on satire. You have already signed your life away on a massive auto loan, paying interest on the physical hardware installed in your car at the factory. But now, automakers are erecting paywalls inside your own dashboard. They are installing the wiring, the heating elements, and the modules for heated seats, remote start, and navigation, and then digitally locking them behind a monthly subscription fee. Think about the profound arrogance of this business model. You are carrying the extra weight and paying the manufacturing cost of hardware you are not allowed to use unless you continually pay a ransom to the dealership every single month. If your credit card expires or you hit a rough financial patch, the manufacturer simply beams a signal from space and remotely disables the features inside the car parked in your own physical garage. This is the deliberate death of true ownership. When you drove a car off the lot 20 years ago, it belonged to you. You could modify it, repair it, or let it sit, and it would remain exactly the machine you paid for. Today, your vehicle is constantly communicating with corporate servers, harvesting your driving data, tracking your location, and uploading your habits to be bundled and sold to insurance companies who will secretly raise your premiums based on how hard you brake. You are paying thousands of dollars to act as a mobile data mining node for a corporation that views you not as a valued customer, but as a host to be parasitized. And when the manufacturer decides they no longer want to support the 4G or 5G modem inside your specific model, they simply sunset the software. Overnight, your smart car is lobotomized. The features you paid a premium for vanish into thin air, accelerating the vehicle's depreciation and leaving you with a technologically obsolete husk. The emotional toll of this realization is staggering. You step into your supposedly advanced vehicle, and instead of feeling a sense of freedom or pride, you feel a deep, lingering paranoia. You are terrified of a software update bricking your transmission overnight. You are terrified that a spilled cup of coffee on the center console will fry a vital control module that costs $3,000 and takes 6 months to arrive from overseas. Automakers have purposefully engineered a system where the car is entirely dependent on proprietary code that no independent mechanic is legally allowed to access or alter. They have weaponized copyright law and encrypted their diagnostic systems to ensure that when this rolling computer breaks, you have absolutely no choice but to drag it back to the dealership and pay whatever extortionate labor rate they demand. You are trapped in a closed ecosystem, bleeding money to maintain a digital illusion of luxury. While you are being extorted by software paywalls and desperate repairs, the financial architecture keeping this entire automotive charade afloat is rapidly crumbling beneath your feet. We are staring down the barrel of a subprime auto loan crisis that makes the 2008 housing collapse look like a mere rehearsal. To understand the sheer magnitude of this financial slaughterhouse, you have to look at how completely detached vehicle prices have become from actual working-class wages. Automakers have spent the last 5 years artificially restricting supply, permanently killing off the affordable $20,000 commuter car and forcing the market into a corner where the average new vehicle now costs nearly $50,000. But middle-class salaries have not doubled. So, to keep moving this massively overpriced inventory, the banking sector and the auto industry conspired to do the only thing they could. They stretched the illusion of affordability to its absolute breaking point. Enter the 84-month and now the 96-month auto loan. Let that sink in for a moment. People are signing 8-year financing contracts for depreciating assets made of brittle plastic and glitchy software. When you sit in that finance office, exhausted after hours of negotiation, the finance manager plays a psychological magic trick, focusing your tired mind entirely on the monthly payment, while completely burying the catastrophic total cost of ownership. They hand you a pen and convince you that an $800 monthly payment is completely normal. They convince you that rolling $5,000, $10,000, or even $15,000 of negative equity from your previous trade-in into this new loan is just a standard part of modern life. It is not normal. It is financial suicide. You are signing up to pay $80,000 for a machine that will be worth $12,000 by the time the bank finally mails you the title. The moment you sign that paperwork and the tires touch the public road, the depreciation hits like a physical blow. Within the first 2 years, you are so deeply underwater on the loan that you are effectively trapped. You cannot sell the car because you owe $10,000 more than it is worth on the open market. You cannot trade it in without taking on even more suffocating debt. You are chained to that steering wheel, forced to pray that the engine does not blow, the transmission does not slip, and the screen does not go black. Because if it does, you are facing a massive repair bill on top of a loan you can barely afford for a car you technically do not even own. This is not just bad luck. This is a highly optimized, predatory wealth extraction machine designed to siphon the future prosperity of the middle class directly into the pockets of Wall Street lenders. And now, the consequences of this greed are violently erupting across the country. We are witnessing an unprecedented, terrifying wave of vehicle repossessions. Hardworking people who simply needed a reliable way to get to their jobs were coerced into high-interest subprime loans they never had a mathematical chance of paying off. As inflation eats away at their grocery budgets and utility bills skyrocket, the car payment is the first thing to be sacrificed. Tow trucks are prowling neighborhoods in the dead of night, dragging away the illusion of the middle-class dream. Dealership lots are quietly filling up with repossessed inventory, and the banks are beginning to panic as they realize the collateral they hold is practically worthless. They are sitting on billions of dollars of loans backed by deteriorating, fundamentally flawed vehicles that no one wants to buy at auction. The bubble is stretching so thin you can hear it screaming. When this subprime auto bubble finally bursts, it is going to wipe out the credit scores, savings, and livelihoods of millions of families who were simply trying to participate in the modern economy. You are not just buying a car anymore. You are buying a hyper-inflated financial time bomb, and the fuse has already burned down to the absolute wire. As the traditional automotive market buckles under the weight of catastrophic debt and mechanical failure, the industry desperately pivoted to a new narrative, promising salvation through the heavily subsidized utopia of electric vehicles. But if you strip away the aggressive marketing campaigns, the environmental virtue signaling, and the unfulfilled promises of tech billionaires, what you uncover is perhaps the most brutal financial trap ever laid for the modern consumer. You were told that buying an EV was the smart, forward-thinking choice. You were promised low maintenance, cheap charging, and the warm, fuzzy feeling of saving the planet. Instead, early adopters and ordinary consumers who took the leap are now serving as unwilling, unpaid beta testers for deeply flawed technology, suffering through the most violent depreciation cliffs in the history of the automobile. Imagine paying $70,000 for a state-of-the-art electric SUV, believing you have future-proofed your life. 2 years later, you decide to trade it in, only to have the dealership look you dead in the eye and offer you $28,000. This is not an exaggeration. This is the current, harrowing reality of the EV resale market. The bottom has completely fallen out. Traditional dealerships do not want them. Used car buyers are terrified of them, and the very manufacturers who built them are aggressively slashing the prices of brand new models just to move inventory, instantly annihilating the equity of anyone who bought one last year. You are watching your net worth bleed out into the gutter in real time, all while dealing with a public charging infrastructure that is an absolute, unmitigated disaster. You are promised road trip freedom, but the reality is sitting in a desolate parking lot at 2 a.m., desperately plugging into 3 different broken, vandalized chargers, while the winter cold drains your battery range by 30%. But the true terror of the electric vehicle mirage lies hiding quietly beneath the floorboards. The entire value, functionality, and lifeblood of an EV is tied to its massive lithium-ion battery pack. These batteries are incredibly complex, highly volatile chemical components that are inherently designed to degrade over time. Every time you charge it, every time it sits in the blistering summer heat or the freezing winter cold, it loses a tiny fraction of its capacity. And when that 8-year warranty inevitably expires, you are left holding a ticking financial bomb. If a battery module fails out of warranty, you do not just take it to a local mechanic for a quick tune-up. You are quoted an apocalyptic $15,000, $20,000, or even $25,000 for a replacement pack. Think about the sheer insanity of this scenario. You own a 10-year-old electric car that is worth maybe $12,000 on the open market, and it requires a $20,000 repair just to turn on. The vehicle is mathematically totaled by its own scheduled maintenance. It becomes a worthless, disposable appliance, destined to be scrapped and tossed into a landfill, making an absolute mockery of the green, eco-friendly narrative used to sell it to you in the first place. You are not buying a legacy. You are not buying a machine you can pass down to your kids. You are buying an oversized, heavy, rapidly depreciating smartphone on wheels. The automotive industry knows this. They are acutely aware that they have created a disposable vehicle economy, but they simply do not care, because they have already cashed the government subsidy checks and locked you into the initial loan. They have successfully convinced the public to trade the mechanical devils they knew for a terrifying new digital devil that has the power to bankrupt them the very second the warranty expires. When you step back and view this entire chaotic landscape, the fragile plastic engines, the suffocating software paywalls, the catastrophic subprime loans, and the disposable electric mirages, you realize this is no longer just about cars. This is about the total, calculated collapse of the American consumer dream, engineered by an industry that has entirely lost its soul. The modern automotive cartel has transformed the basic human necessity of transportation into a relentless, inescapable wealth extraction mechanism. They have built a system where you take all the financial risk, you absorb all the devastating depreciation, and you suffer through the agonizing repairs, while they report record-breaking quarterly profits to their shareholders. It is a one-way street leading directly to middle-class poverty, and if you continue to play their game by their rules, you will absolutely lose. But you do not have to be a victim in this trillion-dollar grift. The first and most crucial step to surviving this fallout is waking up from the intoxicating hypnosis of the new car smell. You must forcefully reject the societal pressure that tells you your self-worth is tied to the year printed on your vehicle's registration. The absolute greatest act of financial rebellion you can commit today is to aggressively maintain and hold on to the older, purely mechanical vehicles built before this era of disposable plastic and digital tyranny. A well-maintained Toyota, Honda, or Chevy truck from the early 2000s, with its steel components and accessible engineering, is no longer just a used car. It is a shield against modern financial ruin. Find a trusted, independent local mechanic. Invest the $2,000 or $3,000 it takes to fix the suspension, seal the leaks, and refresh the drivetrain of your older vehicle. That repair bill might sting in the moment, but it is absolute pennies compared to the $80,000 debt trap waiting for you at the shiny dealership down the road. We must also fiercely support the right to repair movement. This is a battle for our very autonomy. Automakers are spending millions of dollars lobbying to keep independent mechanics out of their software ecosystems, trying to ensure they hold a total monopoly over your vehicle's maintenance. We have to fight back against legislative efforts that seek to outlaw internal combustion engines or mandate unproven, disposable technologies that only serve corporate interests. We must speak with our wallets, refusing to pay monthly subscriptions for hardware already installed in our cars, and refusing to sign predatory 84-month loans that chain us to depreciating assets. The automotive industry is banking on your ignorance. They are betting their entire business model on the assumption that you will just sigh, sign the paperwork, and accept this miserable new reality. Do not give them that satisfaction. Protect your capital, guard your credit, and see these modern machines for what they truly are: beautifully painted financial traps. The road ahead is going to be incredibly rocky as this debt bubble bursts and the supply chain completely fractures. But armed with the unvarnished truth, you can navigate the storm. Keep your old keys in your pocket, keep your money in the bank, and let the uninformed masses finance the collapse of the industry. Thank you for walking through this dark reality with us today. Protect yourselves, stay vigilant, and never let a corporation convince you to finance your own destruction. The modern automotive landscape has been ruthlessly transformed from a symbol of personal freedom into a predatory wealth extraction machine. Automakers and Wall Street have colluded to trap consumers in a digital and financial prison, masking outright extortion as technological innovation. Through forced software subscriptions and proprietary paywalls, manufacturers now hold basic hardware functions hostage, effectively ending true vehicle ownership and turning drivers into perpetual renters of their own dashboards. Concurrently, the industry has engineered a terrifying subprime auto loan crisis, coercing the working class into devastating 84 to 96-month contracts for rapidly depreciating, glitch-prone assets. The heavily subsidized electric vehicle market offers no salvation. Instead, it presents a mirage of eco-friendliness that hides catastrophic resale value drops and apocalyptic battery replacement costs, reducing modern cars to heavy, disposable electronics destined for the landfill. This is not an accidental market shift. It is a calculated destruction of the consumer dream designed to siphon middle-class prosperity directly into corporate pockets. Surviving this hostile ecosystem requires a complete psychological awakening. It demands rejecting the illusion of the new car status symbol and recognizing modern vehicles for what they truly are: hyper-inflated financial time bombs. The ultimate act of rebellion is choosing to fiercely maintain older, purely mechanical vehicles, fighting for the right to repair, and refusing to participate in an ecosystem built on perpetual debt. By rejecting the bait of shiny, disposable technology, consumers can shield themselves from financial ruin and reclaim their autonomy. True wealth and personal autonomy are not found in the acquisition of the latest debt-financed status symbols, but in ownership, self-reliance, and critical thinking. When corporate convenience and engineered luxury require you to surrender your data, your right to repair, and your financial future, it is no longer a luxury. It is a trap. Stop equating newer with better. Radically change how you view transportation by separating your ego from your vehicle. If you currently own an older, reliable car with physical buttons and accessible mechanical parts, keep it. Invest the money to fix its leaks and suspension instead of taking on an $80,000 debt anchor. When making any purchase, look past the deceptive monthly payment and calculate the total long-term cost of ownership. Actively boycott vehicles that require subscriptions to unlock built-in hardware. Support your local independent mechanics and champion right-to-repair legislation in your community. Guard your capital and let your vehicle be a tool for transportation, not a chain around your financial future. What is the make, model, and year of the oldest, most reliable car you have ever owned that simply refused to quit? And do you wish you still had it today? Please drop your answers and stories in the comments section below so we can all read and share our experiences with true, long-lasting machinery. If you found value in this deep dive and want to support our mission to expose the truth, please hit that subscribe button. Your support is what gives this channel the motivation to keep producing hard-hitting, independent content just like this.